So let's understand some of the core components of Kubernetes now, right? One of the most useful and popular component of Kubernetes is a Kubernetes pod. So what is a Kubernetes pod? The easiest way to understand a pod is knowing that it is similar to a container, like a Docker container, right? An isolated environment to run your software. But there's actually a subtle difference between the containers that Docker provide versus the container that Kubernetes versus the pod that Kubernetes provides. Well, in certain cases, Kubernetes pod can have multiple container running inside it. So what are those cases? Well, let's say you have a application deployed on a web server and that web server needs some kind of a specific logging framework, right? So you would deploy the web server on one container of your pod and the logging service on another container of the pod because they need to be closely associated with each other or connected with each other at any point of time. Versus, let's say your web server needs to persist some data in some kind of persistent storage, an RDBMS or an OSQL, that would have to be deployed in a separate container, separate pod environment. So that is what simply pod is all about. Let's go back and we'll come back to this screen in a while. Let's go back and understand formally what a pod is. A pod is a group of one or more containers, one or more in specific cases, as I said, such as Docker containers. Remember, it can be any other container than Docker container because Docker is very, very popular. With the same network, same kind of storage, shared storage. So, the container which is going to be there inside pod would have the similar series of IP addresses. And obviously, it will also tell you how to run that particular pod, a specification to run that pod, knowing very well that although technically you can run it, but you will not be doing it. It is a Kubernetes software which is going to be doing that for you. A pod content is always co-located and co-scheduled and simultaneously started. So in our example, if we have a pod with two containers with web server and the logging service, when you start the pod, both these two services will get started. Last but not the least, while there are so many other container technologies which can be integrated inside pod, Docker still remains one of the most popular and widely used container framework in Kubernetes. Before I move on to a few other components of Kubernetes, let's do a quick check on where we are as far as the table of contents is concerned. Right? So we are in this phase right now. We have learned what containers are. We have learned what Kubernetes are. We've seen what pods is. Right? We'll see examples of that when we set up our cluster and we start doing some kind of hands-on practice. There are two more left, which is replica set and deployment. There are many more, but probably that is something for my Kubernetes basic series. Right. So what is a replica set? Without even going into the slide, I can easily say that replica sets are, we were talking about user coming up in a previous video. We were talking about user coming up with requirement of 24/7 availability. Well, replica sets make that happen to you. Lets you create multiple replicas and also monitor them as well. So if you've got three replica sets and 5 nodes in the cluster, one of the machine goes down, immediately the software is going to, make sure that your replica is started on any your fourth or fifth machine, any other machine than the one which is not crashed. Obviously, your system admin will come and sort out the issues with the failed node or failed replica and rotate back it, in the cluster. So that is what replica sets is. Formally speaking, a replica set's purpose is to maintain a stable set of replica pods running at a given point of time. Yeah, so stable is the watchword over here, right? As I said, if any one of the replicas goes down, you always have, your Kubernetes software will always make sure that those replica sets are back to the number that you've specified. Right. And second point is also related to the first point. Replica sets are used to guarantee the availability of specified number of identical pods. So you started with three replica set, and then you realize that no, you need 5 of them. You change that into your deployment, and then the software will make sure that the 5 replicas are available in your cluster. Remember, the main point is you should have that much hardware in your cluster available. And I also used a word called as deployment over here, right? So that is the next thing, and probably the last thing that we learn over here. So what is the deployment? Well, all this replica set and pod and containers that I'm talking about in Kubernetes has to have some way of telling the software to do all those things. Deployment is the way to do it, right? So that is what deployments are. They are a declarative way of telling your cluster what is the pod or the replica set for the pods that you need to create, that the software needs to create. Typically, you describe the state desirable by you in a deployment script, which is called as YAML. It is just like XML, .xml, .yaml, right? That's the specification. What do you do with the deployment? You obviously can create the new replica set. You can remove the existing deployments, all those replica sets will get destroyed. You can also update them as per the new requirements from your project. So what is it that we can say in summary? What we can say is that deployment changes the actual state to the desired state, and it makes that happen to you with a very least amount of effort. You just might have to increase a number here and there, and rest all is left for the software, the Kubernetes software, to do it for you in an automated fashion. And don't worry if it does not make much sense to you at this point of time. In the video tutorials going forward, we are going to do all this on the cluster that we will build, and that is when you would be more clear about it. Let's go back to the table of content and see what we have done here. We have completed these two. So what we are going to do now is, from the next session onwards, most probably, we are going to start building up the cluster on which we are going to do our practice. Right? So see you next time.